How to list a tea on a website. So yeah, this tea just came into us a couple days ago. I've been drinking it for the last 2 days and it's finally time to get it on the website. So today we're going to go through a new tea that we just got in, Cloud Peak, which is a high mountain Li Shan Oolong, and it's a second spring harvest from Taiwan. Cloud Peak, it's a second spring harvest from Taiwan. I've been really enjoying this tea, especially when I brew it in the clay Li Shan teaware. But I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that we think about and how we do it when we're posting a tea on our website. For the images, what we like to do is we like to show the loose leaf dry tea. So typically we'll have a single image of the dry leaf. We'll have a single image of the tea soup or the brewed tea. And then we'll have an image that has all three. The brewed tea, the dry leaf, as well as the brewed leaf. Stick around to the end and I'm going to show you guys a step-by-step Gong Fu Cha method of brewing this tea. Here I am on the tasting side of the table, and now I'm going to write the tasting notes for the Cloud Peak. So since I'm only doing one tea, it's theoretically a lot easier. Though this is never like really easy, so to speak, because although it's enjoyable, it's like we're trying to describe something that can have a lot of interpretations. What we're trying to do is put words to sensation. It's something that I found you can get better at over time, and you can get better at by practicing it. It's not something you should necessarily expect to be great at in the beginning, and it's also something that you can do in a playful way. It's not necessarily about right or wrong. A few notes from this segment. One is that you want to make sure you're writing about what the tea actually smells and tastes like, not what you want it to taste like. And that's kind of a difficult thing to be objective, especially when you're trying to sell tea. So we always create a grid when doing these tasting notes, and that's to keep us on track and to sort of have a format that we always follow. And in the grid, on the left-hand column, we write color, nose, flavor, and mouthfeel. And then those are the consistent aspects that we evaluate for. Now with this tea, and with a lot of teas, it's pretty interesting how the aroma changes as the tea cools. Now, one of the things that happens is when I'm doing the tastings and I'm trying to write the flavor, I often get a lot of visual images that flood my mind. And I don't know if they come from the subconscious or if they're just something that this flavor and the aroma evoke. And it's this vision is coming to me. Now, that's not super helpful in terms of describing the flavor of the tea. And at the end of the day, I do wish I was a lot better at this process because I feel like the words don't really do it justice. This is a beautiful tea that evokes poetic imagery, and the depth of flavor in the tea is worthy of an essay. All right, so now I'm just going to take some pictures of the tea here, and I'm going to dance around with my camera a little bit. And like I was saying before, we want to get those three images, one of the dry leaf, one of the liquid tea, and then one of the brewed leaf. That's the leaf that has been rehydrated through the brewing process. And it shows you something about kind of like the oxidation. It will show you a little bit about the whole aspects of the leaf. Now here I'm at the computer station plugging in my camera because although this camera has the Bluetooth capability, it has somehow eluded me to the point where I just use the manual feature of plugging in here. And so what I'm gonna do here is after I load these pictures into the computer, then I'm gonna go ahead and upload it. I'm gonna open it in preview. And I pretty much don't do very much here in preview. All I do is reduce the size, crop, and name the file. And then that's pretty much it. Then I save it, and I'm able to upload it into our website. So when we do the uploading into the website, we do the product description. That's consisting of the tasting notes I was talking about earlier. And then we add the photos, and then we make all the necessary requirements. I'm using BigCommerce I don't really think it's here nor there, but you can use whatever system you like. Probably Spotify is better. Not Spotify, Shopify. I think Shopify might be better, but this is just what we've been using, and it's gotten to the point where it'd be kind of hard to switch. We do go ahead and load in a bunch of SEO content, and we do the tagged, what is it called? The meta description and the sort of key tag words or the keywords. And we try to put that information into the files. We also actually name the pictures. That's another thing and all of these things are not very hard to do, though they are a little bit time consuming. And it doesn't do anything immediately overnight, but it's something that Google tends to like. So we like to try to keep Google happy with our website. Now, as I promised, I'm just going to go ahead and let this whole reel of the tea brewing play. And, I don't know. If you want to watch it, if you want to leave it on, that's great. I don't know. I'm not going to edit it. So there's a few edits in the beginning, but then it's just going to play. Me brewing tea. Here you go. Now I'm just heating the teaware. And I can use this water that I use to heat the teaware also to rinse the teaware and warm. This is a nice little stand I found for the lid. This is the aroma cup here, and that's really good for evaluating the scent of the tea. This tea does have a pretty substantial boom resonance, which is kind of a quality that we look for in a tea, where it's got some nice, even though it's on the green end and it's a pretty, just like a high mountain green oolong, but the tea itself has a pretty substantial and hearty resonance. So that's something that is kind of unique about this tea. But it also has a nice milky texture. Now this is a tea that I really have grown fond of over the past couple days. Now what I was just doing there was because this teapot here doesn't have any type of screen in it. It just has a hole, which works really well for green oolongs. But in the beginning, and that's part of the reason why we do this warming and preparing infusion, which is this very quick one, because in that way it gets the leaf a little bit open and ready for brewing. And then I'm just going to pour some of this warming and preparing infusion aside. I'm going to pour it into here, so I'll have it later if I want to drink some of that. All right. Still a little bit of clogging going on, so it's really handy to have a poker, and then you get a fluid stream. Now this tea comes to us from a 4th generation tea farmer in Taiwan. This is a tea farmer I've been working with for, let me think, close to 10 years now. So I'll fill the aroma cup there. And you don't have to really do anything very fancy to pour that in there. You can just pour it simply like so. Some people like to put the cup on and do a such an amazing aroma. It's delicate and floral. It's vibrant. Sweet. I'm just describing the general characteristics now, and then we'll get into the sort of specifics. Definitely has a dried white flower aroma. And the flavor immediately is just so refreshing and penetrating. But also, like I said, it's got that really deep boom resonance to it. There's a sort of a candied note to the flavor initially. And that makes it just initially this, I think part of the reason why this tea is really growing on me is that there's sort of that tactile feel of that initial candy-like boom resonance of the tea is sort of very, what's the word? It's very addictive. Yeah, this tea is nice because it has a visceral pull. It has a sort of addictive quality. There's something pretty special to it. And it's not super common, this type of flavor. It's kind of unusual. Initially, I didn't really know what to think about it, but like I said, the more I drink it, the more I like it. And that's better than the other way around, right? So let's get into the photography as well as the tasting notes. I'm gonna brew this one more time so I have plenty to taste and use for the photograph. When we do the photograph, we're often using this cup here, and this is a cup that we use for all of the tea photographs. And I'll put it, after I fill that, and I'll put it on that stand like so. So it's pretty uniform. That's what we do for almost all of the teas when we shoot the picture of the liquid tea. So this is a tea that you'll definitely be able to get several infusions of. It's really fun to pour the water over the teapot. It's not necessary, but one of the cool things about having a tea tray like this is you can't make a mess. You can just pour the water over. That allows the water to evaporate from the outside of the teapot here. And it's actually, counterintuitively, it's a way to slightly cool, just as if one perspires, then they're cooling. So that is releasing some heat. But also it's a fun way to interact with your teapot, as well as it can be used as a timing method. So for example, the first time I pour over and then it's evaporated, and now the second time, and typically I'll do it around 2 or 3 times if I want to use it as a timing method, but really it's just a playful way to interact with the teapot. For the most part, that's my favorite part about it. Tea truly is one of life's simple pleasures. All you need is hot water and some sort of thing to separate the leaf from the water. All right, now we've got the full flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and take some pictures and do some tasting notes.